How are you guys this morning? Um, I want to start out with something here. First of all, thank you guys for having us here this morning. We've been uh, up here since I'd say just before Thanksgiving. It's the longest trip we've ever done as a family since my wife and I have been married now. 17 years ago, we got married. Um, God bless her, right? That's what you're thinking. God bless her. We've never done a long trip like this, and we're homeschooling now, and so we're able to be up here for a longer period of time. And so we've kind of been to different places, but we have saved the best for last here. Christian Hills Church, our home sending church, and it's awesome to be here. And so I just want to, I know because now I've been in ministry for some time, and I'm usually serving in a kind of a second position of in a church. Is I work with a pastor. His name is Pastor Dwight, and so I know what it's like when the staff, sometimes the pastoral staff, doesn't get recognized. And so I just want to thank this morning our the whole staff here, Brennan, Donald, Ashley, Gail at the school. Tiffany is downstairs right now with the kids. So give them just a round of applause. Thank you guys for all that you do here, for all that you guys have sown into here and in everything that you guys do. But I also do want to brag a little bit on Pastor Mike since it is his birthday. Okay, I'm not going to leave him out completely here. After that awkward happy birthday song that we sang, I don't know, was that awkward? Maybe it was just me. Some music started. It was too fast, and then we were all like, happy birthday. And then most of you, including myself, we didn't know what to say. Do we say Mike, or we say Pastor Mike, or and so that part, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. So I just want to say something. I shared with Pastor Mike this a while back. I wrote him a letter. I think we have one of the most unselfish pastors here at this church that I've ever met in ministry. I just want you guys to know that. Again, I've been now, I've have visited lots of churches, and I've been with some people, some pastors who are about themselves. I mean, and again, I'm not picking somebody like, oh, what church were you at last week? I'm not saying that you guys look at my schedule or anything, but just there's pastors that they don't share the pulpit that much with the younger generation. They don't help others into ministry. They're kind of about building their name rather than the kingdom. And since I've known Pastor Mike, all I have seen him do is help others get into ministry, help others get launched into ministry. Whether, and this is the thing, whether it's here or whether they move on to a different place, whether they go on somewhere else and other churches have been started, thanks to, honestly, Pastor Mike and Kathy's help and just sowing into their lives and giving some people opportunities. Even myself coming here and being able to share, and Pastor Mike has never been selfish with the pulpit. He's just, Tony, go ahead. Preach and minister and do what God's called you to do. He's helped us. I've called him many times just for advice and help. And it's not about trying to build his name or build up this church. So that's my little birthday spiel for you. Thank you, Pastor Mike. Thank you very much. I think that's I think it's neat. You don't see that too much. In the back here, I don't know if you guys have noticed, or I don't know if we call that the front. Do we call it the front or the back? The back behind us right now, we have literally taken over. Speaking of being unselfish, I'm not, and we took over the entire entrance here with our ministry pictures. It says Heart for Mexico. They're strategically placed as well, that you cannot go anywhere in the back. You can't leave today without seeing one. If you go out that door, you see pictures. If you go out the middle, you see pictures. If you go for coffee, you see orphans. The orphans are placed there specifically because I knew a lot of people would get coffee. So if you guys just want to, after service, go back there and see a little bit more of the ministry, and we'll be back there, and you could ask us questions and talk to us about anything that you guys see up there. And again, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, everything that you guys do for us. You are our home sending church, our main supporting church. And most of what we do is we're not able to do it without you guys. So thank you very much for, we're in this series called Being the Gift. Thank you for being a gift to us, as a family. So thank you guys very much. Let me share from James chapter 1, verse 17. It says, every good gift and every perfect present comes from heaven. It comes down from God, the creator of heavenly lights, who does not change or cause darkness by turning. Let's pray this morning. Lord, we just thank you for this time that we have here. We just want to open up our hearts and prepare our minds for the word that you have for us this morning. I know that it's a divine appointment that each and every person is here this morning, and you do have something for them, and that we are all going to leave here different. Speak to us, change our lives, change our community through what you're doing here, Lord. In your name we pray, Jesus. Amen. We're coming up to a time of, I'm going to kind of mix in stories of Mexico into this message and some other things, but we're coming up now to Christmas. How many of you guys like Christmas? I love Christmas. I do like, I'll be honest, I love giving gifts. I love receiving gifts. Okay, I know that someone just say, no, it's about giving. Yes, it's about giving, and that's what this is about, but I do like getting gifts. And so I was thinking and even talking with my wife about a couple of things. How many of you guys, you're good at picking gifts or giving gifts? Okay, a few of you. You're creative when you do it, okay? How many of you guys are bad? You could do everything at 7-Eleven on December 24th, just run through there and get everything, kind of like myself, okay? Azucena is very creative when she gives gifts. She thinks stuff through. She thinks about certain dates and moments, and you know, she'll give me the gift, and it's a remembrance of some moment that we have that I never remember, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is, and I'm not that good at it. And in fact, I could think of one, but I do remember that it was actually 2 years in a row, 2 Christmases in a row, that I gave her the exact same gift from the year before. And that one year, she actually thought it was a joke. When she opened up this present, it was a blouse, and she took out the blouse, and I'm excited, you know, just I'm giving it, I'm like, yeah. And she didn't have the same expression. She looked at it almost with disappointment, like, and she's like, did you grab this from the closet? And I was like, no, I didn't grab it from the closet. Why? And she's like, I'll be right back. She goes upstairs and she comes down and says, Tony, do you remember what you gave me last year for Christmas? And I was like, I have no idea. She's like, here, it was the same blouse. She's like, here. And I was like, that's why I liked it so much, I think, when I went to the store. I gave her the exact same blouse. The other day, while we were packing for this trip, my kids were laughing, and Andrea, our oldest, she took out like 3 of the same shirts, just different years, because Target is one of the greatest stores. They're not paying me. They're just one of the greatest stores for dads ever. You just go there. I pick different colors. It says age, you know, it says 8, because you don't have to do sizes. It just says 4 to 6, you know, 7 to 9. And then I would just grab the stuff. But I guess I always grab the same colored shirts, the same exact shirts. And so they laid out on the bed all of these things, and they're the exact same shirt. I also have, I've given, and I was so excited about these. vibrating slippers that I gave my wife one Christmas. And they were the worst things in the world. As soon as she stood up, she broke like the battery part because they were inside the slipper, and then they never worked again. And so I'm working on it. I think I'm getting better. Thank God for Amazon and all of this stuff. But Azucena is way different. How many guys can relate to me right now? You just kind of struggle in that area of gift giving. Azucena is always coming up with like creative ideas, creative things, to do, to give to me, things that have some meaning behind them. Even when we were dating, she for my birthday, we had a Dairy Queen. We were in Mazatlan at that time. We have a Dairy Queen there, and she went and paid them, because they have the old signs out there where you could change stuff, and she paid some extra for them to put "Happy Birthday, Tony" on this Dairy Queen sign outside. And so she says, well, here, let's go. And she was taking me to, we were going to this restaurant, but the restaurant was in front of Dairy Queen. And she wanted me to go and then see the sign. And so we get over there, we take the bus, we get over there, and she had gone through all the trouble to get this done. And guess who never noticed a thing? Guess who? Go take a wild guess who never noticed. So she's like, well, let's go to Dairy Queen first. And I was like, all right, I don't want Dairy Queen, a hot dog from Dairy Queen. All right, so we go to Dairy Queen. All she wanted me to do was just look up. That's all. And I'm walking, standing under the sign, never saw it. And I was like, I really don't want Dairy Queen. And she was like, all right, well, let's go across the street and we'll think about it. All right, let's go across the street. We go across the street. And she's like, well, is there anything on that side that you want? I'm looking over. It says big letters, "Happy Birthday, Tony Simon," And I'm like, no, nothing. And then she was like, well, just think about it a little bit. Just kind of look over there. I was like, I don't want anything from that side. She's like, let's go back over and think about it. So we go back over. I never saw it. She finally said, Tony, your birthday present is up here. It says "Happy Birthday." And then I felt horrible. So I want to talk to you guys real quick just about taking risks when you give. I think that's one thing that I've learned in Mexico, is that as missionaries, we want to be a blessing to the people down in Mexico, and sometimes it takes risk. It does take some creativity when you want to bless somebody. The prophet Isaiah, in Isaiah, it's really chapters 8 and 9 that I'm going to be sharing from. But the prophet Isaiah, he gives this word to the people of Judah and King Ahaz at that time. And if you read through chapter 8, you see the words a lot. And even the beginning of chapter 9 of Isaiah, you see the words gloom and darkness. A number of times, gloom and darkness, gloom and darkness. And what was happening was this is when the kingdom was divided into two parts, the northern part and the southern part. And the northern part was what's known as Israel, and then the southern part was known as Judah. And so Judah and King Ahaz, they got word that the king of Syria and the king there of the northern kingdom, they were coming together to attack. And so instead of going straight to the Lord right away, King Ahaz, he started playing with this idea that he actually kind of followed through on, of joining forces with the king of Assyria. And so they said, okay, he paid them in silver and gold. And what happened, though, was that the king of Assyria, he got his army together, and they defeated Syria. I know it sounds kind of funny because it's Assyria and Syria, but they defeated them. God gave them a victory in a sense. And I say in a sense because it wasn't necessarily God's plan. He just said, well, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to join forces with these guys. And so what happened was, instead of then basically the king of Assyria, he just kept going south until basically kind of was over running there in Judah, and the people of Judah. Then it just became this kind of overwhelming oppression on them. And that's why we see so many times here this gloom and darkness and fear and distress. We see all these words throughout chapter 8. And so, I'm just going to kind of read a couple parts here in chapter 9. It says, nevertheless, there will be no more gloom, because the end of chapter 8, he's explaining about this gloom and darkness. Then this word comes that there's going to be no more gloom for those that are in distress. And the people walking in darkness, they've seen a great light, and God is going to do something big. And then in verse 6, it's a verse that you guys are going to recognize right now. It says, for to us a child is born. To us a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. And we know that this is a prophecy, because we come to church. We know that this is a prophecy of Jesus Christ coming. But even then, the people were confused when they heard this prophecy. They actually thought it was about Hezekiah. They weren't even sure what was going on. Some of them were very confused about this gift that they were going to be receiving. And I say that I think it's a risk of God giving this word, because this word here in Isaiah that many of us know, we have it printed on Christmas cards. Some of you guys have it on little Christmas ornaments that you hang up. Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace, Mighty God. This was 700 years before Jesus ever came. Talk about planning. Those that go on the 24th looking for Christmas presents, 700 years before. And some of you guys that have some Bible knowledge know that when Jesus came, it ended a period of over 400 years of silence. That there was even a word given by any prophets. This is even 300 years before that period of silence even started. And I read this and I look at this and I think of God and all of his greatness. And I just think it's so amazing. Because he says, for unto us a child is born. This was a gift that was given for all people, for mankind. In Matthew chapter 1 is kind of where we see this fulfilled. In verse 20, it says, but after he had considered this is an angel coming to Joseph. It says, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. And it says, and this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. God with us. How many of you guys are thankful this morning that we have Jesus? We have this gift. We've received this gift of Jesus Christ. In this name, Emmanuel, which means God with us, it was God literally saying, I'm the gift. Merry Christmas. It's me. Husbands, don't try that at home. Christmas morning, I'm your gift. Don't try that. It doesn't work. You're like, I'm just going off what Tony said. Being creative, I'm your gift. No, don't try to at least get something, okay? But what happened was, and this is kind of funny to me, in that when that prophecy was given, a lot of people thought it was spoken of actually the coming of Hezekiah. And then later on, when Jesus came, breaking these 400 years of silence, Jesus comes along, and people still didn't know how to receive the gift. And people to this day still don't know how to receive the gift of salvation and the gift of Jesus Christ. I mean, this is not something some of us, we have, and we're here this morning and we're in church and we're worshiping God. And at one time, maybe we didn't know how to receive this gift, but we received Jesus. Do you remember that day? Do you remember the day you received Jesus Christ into your heart? Was it not the most amazing day of your entire life? Changed our lives forever. But there's people, and you guys probably know them, they don't know. They don't know how to receive that gift. You invite them to church and they just, they give you that look. I think it's because a lot of them know that it's a gift that could change their lives forever. We have receiving problems, I could say, okay? Some of you guys have no problem going here and getting an ornament and doing what's on the ornament and giving and giving and giving to people. But let's switch it around for a second here. And I think at the same time that we learn how to give, we also need to learn how to receive. We could be bad receivers of what God has for us. We could be bad receivers of what others have for us. Kind of goes both sides of the giving and the receiving part. How many of you guys, you've received a gift and you just don't even quite know what to do with it? Yeah? Or you don't know what it is and you stand there with that weird smile. Thank you. How many of you have re-gifted? Come on, you're in church this morning. You've re-gifted. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. All right, few of you. I think there's more of you. I do. I honestly think there's more of you. You don't want to raise your hand because you did it already in December, and the person's here this morning, and so you don't want to say it, but re-gifted. Or you don't quite know what to do. We have a video here. It's about a minute long about kids receiving, parents actually playing jokes on their kids, giving them bad gifts just to see the reaction of their kids. I thought it would be funny. We could, I don't know, dim the lights or I don't know what happens, but we could put the video here. All right. It's Charlie. I don't like this. Oh. What is it? An old banana. An old banana? Isn't that exciting? What are you doing? Pushing it. Oh, okay.
A battery and an onion. What's wrong?
I don't want an onion.
Did you smell your onion? Here, smell it.
Oh, I smelled it. Eggs. Open it. A hot dog.
What is that?
I got a girl activity book with stickers. I'm not a girl. I'm not a boy. I'm not a boy either. He's the worst Christmas ever. He said, "This is the worst Christmas ever." Oh. I thought it would be funny to put that of just, sometimes you just don't know what to do. You don't know if it's a joke, you don't know. And so there is something on the receiving end, but I want you guys to know this morning that it is okay to receive what God has for us. In Romans 6, it says that the wages of sin is death, but the gift, everybody say gift. The gift of God is eternal life in Jesus Christ our Lord. God knows how to give the perfect gift. And he knew before the creation of the world, he knew that his son would be the perfect gift for mankind. 2 Corinthians 9:15, the Apostle Paul writes, "Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift." Another version just kind of breaks it down, and he says, it's a gift that's so wonderful that it cannot be described. You cannot describe this gift with words. There's salvation, eternal life, healing, prosperity, blessing. All of these things is wrapped up in Jesus Christ. And I want to encourage you guys just this morning, and I want to share a few things that we've seen down in Mexico, but I want to encourage you guys this year of just taking a risk yourselves. I mean, God has set an example of taking a risk to give us his son, to bless us. I know some of us, as I was just kind of sharing, we're maybe not creative and we're maybe not big risk takers, but I would like you guys to take a risk this year in giving. You know, Matthew chapter 10, we see those words, freely you have received, freely give. We are blessed. Whether we know it or not, we are a blessed nation. We are a blessed people. And it is fun to be a blessing to others. I was going through some of the ornaments the other day. I was looking for the missions ones. Which ones is for Mexico? But I was going through them, and there's some fun things on there. There's some things that everybody can do. One, I want to challenge. I know some of you guys last week, you guys cleared the wall, and I think again we could clear that wall again today. I don't know. Is that our only tree, or those are also going to be used? Okay, yeah, because I think that one's going to get filled pretty fast, and we are going to need these ones here. And I just want to challenge you guys with something. This just to even make it funner, because this to me it's so much fun. Me and Azucena saw this. We were like, this is the greatest thing in the world. I want to challenge some of you guys to not even read the tag. Just grab an ornament. What's up now? Yeah. You're like, oh, taking this to a new level. Yeah. We don't have to, because what then we kind of get, we pick and choose then. You know, we're like, I don't want to give a gift to kids. I don't want to shovel someone's driveway. Pray for someone. Ooh, I'll take that one. Again, you guys do what you want. Read them, and don't feel bad if you read them or anything like that. Okay, I'm not trying to manipulate the giving thing here. I just think it would be funner if you took a few without looking. Yes or no? Raise your hand if you're going to do it. I'm putting you on the spot now. Come on. All right. I think that just a way that we can give and be a blessing to others without first thinking about it, because that happens sometimes about giving, and we know that it's better to give than to receive, and we know that God's given us so much, but I'll be honest with you that sometimes we kind of pick and choose who we're going to give and who deserves it, I guess is a better way to put it. We even get very political on giving sometimes, of who deserves something and who doesn't deserve something. And well, they don't deserve that. They haven't worked for it, or they don't deserve it because they're in the situation they're in and it's their fault. And we kind of go through these scenarios sometimes. We recently had, and some of you guys maybe saw this on our Facebook page, but at the end of October, just beginning of November, there was a hurricane that went through our state. The state of Nayarit is where we minister and where we have a number of our churches. We live in Tepic, but our state of Nayarit, we have a number of churches along the coast as well. And we were all kind of getting ready for this hurricane. It was 2 years ago that a number of you guys were praying with us for one hurricane that was supposedly one of the biggest hurricanes ever in the Pacific. And it just, right before it hit the coast, it just kind of came apart. I don't know if that's the correct scientific word, but it just kind of went away. And so we were praying, we were getting ready for this other hurricane that was coming. And we have a church in this town called San Blas. I think I've shared with you guys about the Voga Voga Disco Bar Church. And so you want an update on the Voga Voga real quick? I got some time. So the Voga Voga, keep praying for the church in San Blas, because we just celebrated in September our 1-year anniversary. And we're still going and still going strong. But the Voga Voga Disco Bar has attracted too many Voga Voga Disco Bar people. Okay, and again, again, we are called to minister to the strangest of strange, okay? But we do want a mix of some normal people in there. And the Voga Voga has our location and being a bar and being in between other bars. I think we've only attracted a number of strange people. I was preaching not too long ago there, and we have people come in all the time that are drinking because they think it's a bar. They think the bar's still open. So we kind of have that, leave your beer at the door policy. And I know a lot of churches don't have that, but we do. Leave your beer at the door and come on in. And if our ushers don't drink it, your beer will be there at the end of service, hopefully. So, we have people come in that are drinking. We have people that are messed up and just they don't know how to do church. And so we're teaching them, literally teaching people, don't raise your hand during the sermon. It's not a question and answer time, and teaching people that first we do worship and then we have a word and we'll pray for you guys. I mean, they have literally no idea how a service works. And I was preaching the other day, and I've preached in some very, very difficult places. I mean, it's very difficult to preach in a place where there's 5 dogs and a woman is breastfeeding right in the front row, and you're just like, oh, please put a blanket. And I mean, it's just difficult sometimes. And so I was preaching in San Blas in the church, and I had this moment that I thought nobody is receiving, no one is paying attention. It was literally one of the hardest sermons I've ever preached. Like 3 people were out cold sleeping because they take medication, and they were out. I hope they take medication. I mean, unless I preach that bad, I'm praying that they take medication. But one wasn't even, if you're going to sleep in church, be discreet. Just kind of close your eyes and every once in a while nod and say amen. This guy in the front, he was laid out. I mean, mouth open, just out cold. Another guy, he was on this other side. He was sleeping. Another lady was sleeping. And then another lady, she has some issues, and she would stand up and she would shout random things during the sermon. And then another guy, he would raise his hand to ask questions. And then this lady, who was very pregnant, she was sitting right up front, decided to roll up her shirt and rub her stretch mark cream on her belly while I was preaching. Well, I mean, just rubbing it on, people sleeping, people yelling, someone asking questions. And I'm just preaching away. And I thought, no one here is paying attention. And so I just thought, I told the team, I said, you know what, guys, we need to pray for some just people that didn't come to the bar before. We need some normal people coming in here to church. Again, I don't mind all of these people, but we do want to mix. And so they prayed. I couldn't go that Sunday. My family was there and just praying and praying and praying. And they came back home. I said, how'd it go? Did God answer our prayer? And they were like, more people came, but even weirder than the people we have now. And so just keep praying. Keep praying. God's doing awesome things, and we are. If that's what God has for us, then that's what we're gonna minister to. We're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna keep doing it, but we're just slowly teaching them. You can't rub stretch mark cream on your belly during the service, okay? So, but again, let me go back to my hurricane story. So the hurricanes, basically was coming by San Blas, and the way our roof is, I was very nervous. I had a number of people praying for our roof, for protection of our roof. And thank God, actually, the hurricane hit a little bit north of there, strong winds, a lot of rain, stuff kind of blew through San Blas, but God protected our roof. But what happened was, as this hurricane, it hit the coast, and it kept going inland up towards Durango and some other states inland, and it dumped so much rain. That's when a lot of hurricanes cause damage, not because of the initial hit, but actually the rain damage that comes later. And so dumped so much rain, all the rivers overflowed, and they just kept connecting to other rivers. And what happened was this river that is right before it empties out into the ocean, it turns right at this town of Tuxpan, where we have one of our churches. and they were not ready for it. And there's also a dam that is up in a spot that they opened up because there was so much water. So there was just too much water. Without any warning, this river came in and it broke the walls, the levees that keeps this water out. And the entire town of Tuxpan got flooded. The entire town. It was one of the saddest things that we had ever been a part of or seen. And we have a church there. We have pastors there, and we have friends there. And I was in contact with them that night. A lot of them had to sleep on the roof of their homes because their houses, they were filled with water, and they kept moving up to the second floor, but the water kept rising, and they had to sleep on the roofs. And I was in contact that night with the pastor as all this was happening, and he said, I have my family in a safe location, and we lost one of our cars, Tony. It's completely is underwater. And he's also a butcher, and he said, pray for my pigs. I don't want to lose my pigs. I've never prayed for pigs before, but God save his pigs. And after the water receded, after the water went down, it basically left mud, about 1.5 feet of mud throughout the entire town. People's homes, ovens, drawers, beds, everything was filled with mud. And we got in, our family, we got in 2 days later because roads were washed out. It was hard to get in. We got in this town about 2 days later, rubber boots, shovels, and we just started cleaning people's homes. And I saw something. I saw this, what we read about in chapter 8. I saw for the first time a true gloom and despair, gloom and darkness. No one knew what to do. No one knew where to even begin. You shovel mud from one room to another to just go to another room to go out into the street. But then cars would go by or people would walk in and the mud would just end up. I mean, it was just like, and it's still bad. I want to let you guys know it's only been a month and a half. And we've been able to get in, and I think 2 Saturdays ago, a ministry that works with us gave away 250 mattresses out in that town to people that lost their beds. Over 150 bed frames. We were able to go and bring food bags, and we met a missionary pilot who started flying us in because we couldn't drive in there, and we were able to get food bags in and different things. And we got the church cleaned up first, so we can make it as like a distribution center for people. And I know the pastor, he was kind of nervous. He said, I just want to help. And I said, well, it's kind of like those of you, you've flown before, and there's that weird announcement I always thought was weird, but now it makes sense to me. It says, put your own mask on first before you put on a child's mask. And I always think, man, that's weird. You got to help the child right away. But if you're unconscious, you really can't help anybody. And so I told this to the pastor. I said, we need to clean up your home. We need to clean up the church. We need to clean this up first so we can bless other people. And I saw my kids go in people's homes and just clean. We didn't ask questions. I've seen people in our church go down there. We didn't ask people, what congregation do you go to? We didn't ask people if they were saved. We didn't ask people if they drank or if they smoked or if they were sinners or if they watched bad movies or what music did they listen to. We just went in and started cleaning up mud, started cleaning up gloom and despair and giving people hope. And I'm not saying, oh, good for us, because it was hard. It was hard for us to even be a part of that and see that. And it was hard for me to leave to come up and do this trip because I just wanted to be there so bad helping people. But I thought about this as Christians sometimes. I think the Christian life, once we're saved, the Bible describes us being in a condition before Christ, being in the miry clay is where we were. We were in the miry clay, and Jesus lifted us out of the miry clay, and he set us, each and every one of us, upon a rock, upon Jesus Christ. And he cleaned off that mud from our lives. And we're called to just help other people get out of the mud. We're called to just help other people. We're not, wait, well, what happened? Why are you in the mud? It doesn't matter. Is it your fault that you're in the mud? It doesn't matter. It probably is their fault. They probably made some stupid decisions, but so have me and you. In Jesus, in his grace and in his mercy, he saved us. And we cannot get to a point in Christianity, and I think it's a sad thing, when we begin to pick and choose who deserves the gospel and who doesn't, who deserves grace and who doesn't. Because freely you have received, freely give. Freely each and every one of us have received the gift of grace. We've received the gift of Jesus Christ. A light broke through the darkness, and all of us received that light, and all of us are called. Without questioning, without checking, without doing background checks, we're called to be a blessing to others. And to me, it was the greatest picture of Christianity when I saw it, the youth of our church and others just shoveling, just cleaning out people's homes. We have people coming up and saying, do you guys have extra food bags? And do you have? And yeah, we got plenty. Do you need your house cleaned? And I kind of laughed in my head of maybe how others would be. And yeah, we have a food bag, but first let's sit down and do an interview with you. Do you deserve this food bag? Not one person deserves any of those things that are on that wall. Not one. Romans 5:8 says that when we were still sinners, Jesus died for us. Not one of us here, we deserve anything that we have. We don't deserve it. So we can never get to that place in the giving and receiving part of gifts that we start to pick and choose who deserves a gift and who doesn't. Because each and every one of us are celebrating the gift of salvation that Jesus has given us. And I think that we need to freely give in a way that's a blessing to others. You guys are all quiet now. Can you guys stand with me this morning? I want to pray, and I believe at the end of service, I mean, we'll be in the back here talking and stuff, but I don't know quite how this works, but I think you guys just go here to the wall and grab a couple of ornaments, and then follow through, I guess, with what it says. I'll challenge some of you guys like I did. Don't read it first. Just grab it and make it a lot funner. If you do read it, don't feel all bad and convicted, okay, that you're reading them. Don't get all embarrassed. All right? I know some of us, you're in different situations, and it is hard to give. It is. But at the same time, it's so much fun, and it's such a blessing. I don't want to put this in because I'm a missionary, and I know it's going to sound funny, but be a blessing to missions as well. Okay? It sounds funny because I'm a missionary. Be a blessing to those missionaries of Mexico. I don't mean it like that. I believe in local giving, but I also believe in giving to people that may never even see you or know that you were the one that did something. I think that's one of the funnest. For unto us a child is born. For unto us a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His kingdom there will be no end. Unto us this child was born. You guys close your eyes this morning. I just want to ask a quick question. If you've been going through a hard time, maybe even just receiving what God has for you, it's hard for you to receive sometimes. Or you're still waiting for that miracle that God has for you, and it just quite hasn't come yet. Whether it's a sickness that you're you're dealing with, whether it's a financial trouble, whether it's something spiritual in your life. Just, if you need prayer, just raise your hand and put it back down real quick. You don't have to, just raise your hand and put it back down. Thank you. Lord, I pray for each and every person here this morning that raise their hand. Lord, we thank you. We thank you for their lives, and we don't know what they're going through, and we don't have to. Lord, I just pray that you pour out your grace upon each and every person. Grace, the ability to get through, the ability to get through a holiday season that's hard for some people, the ability to start a new year when it's hard for them, the ability to keep walking even though they haven't seen the miracle. That's what grace is. And Lord, I just pray that you pour your grace upon each and every person here this morning. And in the same way that we receive that grace, Lord, let us learn to give that grace to others. Let us learn to extend that grace to others. Let us learn to be a blessing to others. And I know that you're going to do great and mighty things through each and every person here at this church. Lord, we pray that you bless them. We want to thank you this morning, too, for giving us the most perfect gift, your Son, Jesus Christ. We thank you, Jesus, for the salvation that you have bestowed upon us. And we thank you for the grace that you give us each and every day. Bless your people. Bless this church.